First. After that lunch, Taehyung didn't speak to him again, but something had shifted. The silent dinners were now joined by fleeting glances. The cold mansion no longer felt entirely hostile. And some nights, Jungkook could hear footsteps pause outside his door, but they never came in. He told himself not to hope. Hope was what had gotten him hurt in the first place. One evening, Jungkook wandered through the east wing, a part of the mansion he hadn't dared to explore yet. A locked door stood at the end of the hall. Strangely, it was open tonight. He stepped in, curious. It was a private office. Dark wood. Crystal decanters. Shelves full of leather-bound files with the Kim crest. On the desk lay an envelope, unsealed. He recognized the emblem immediately. The Mint Syndicate. Hands trembling, he pulled the paper out and read, "We know you've married the Jin boy. Tell your little husband to sleep with one eye open. You can't protect everything, Taehyung." Jungkook's heart dropped. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A shadow moved behind him. "Who said you could be in here, Taehyung?" Jungkook turned slowly, caught red-handed, eyes wide. I didn't mean to snoop. The door was open, But Taehyung didn't look angry. He looked afraid. "You read the letter?" Jungkook nodded. Taehyung stepped forward, his voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "You weren't supposed to see that." "Why?" Jungkook whispered. "Because it proves I'm just bait." "No." Taehyung's gaze darkened. "Because it proves I've already made you a target." Later that night, he watched the security monitors alone. Jungkook sat by the fountain, hugging his knees, small and shaken. And for the first time, Taehyung wasn't thinking about territory or blood or war. He was thinking about how to kill a man for frightening his husband. The days after the letter felt heavier, like the air itself knew something terrible was coming. Taehyung had doubled the guards, moved Jungkook to a more secure wing, and installed a silent panic button in his room. But he still barely spoke a word to him. Protection wasn't affection. Jungkook had learned that by now. Still, part of him wondered, why care this much, if you feel nothing? One night, he couldn't sleep. He wandered outside to the garden, the one place that still felt like his. He sat by the fountain, the same spot Taehyung had once silently watched him from. The wind carried the scent of roses and danger. Then, he heard footsteps. "Out here alone," a voice said, unfamiliar, too soft to be Taehyung, too rough to be a servant. Jungkook's blood ran cold. He stood, backing away, but the man stepped out of the shadows, knife glinting under the moonlight. Dressed in black. Masked. A hitman. The warning from the Mint Syndicate wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. "Tell your husband." The man sneered. "We are not afraid of his leash." He lunged. Jungkook screamed. And then. 3. Clean. Precise. The man dropped, lifeless. Taehyung stood behind him, gun still smoking, breath ragged. He didn't speak as he rushed forward, pulling Jungkook into his arms. For once, he didn't care who saw. Didn't care what weakness meant. "You're okay," he breathed, holding him tighter. "You're okay. I thought I was going to die." Jungkook sobbed against his chest. "I won't let anyone touch you. Ever." His voice cracked. It was the first time Jungkook heard Kim Taehyung sound human. Later that night, Taehyung sat beside the bed while Jungkook slept. He hadn't left. Hadn't even moved. He watched the boy breathe. "I told you not to expect love," he whispered. But you didn't listen. And now, I don't know how to let you go. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. Jungkook had curled up under the blankets, still shaken, but finally breathing calmly. Taehyung sat beside the bed, hands clenched, every muscle tight with rage, not at Jungkook, not even at the assassin. At himself. He had sworn never to feel, never to attach. And now, just the thought of losing this boy had nearly unmade him. The blood. The scream. It looped in his head like a curse. He reached forward without thinking, brushing his knuckles against Jungkook's cheek. "You've ruined me," he whispered. He pretended to sleep. The moment Taehyung had touched him, so gently, so unlike the man he knew, his heart had threatened to shatter. But he kept his eyes shut. If he opened them, the moment might disappear. Taehyung exhaled. "I'm sending you away." Jungkook's eyes did snap open then. What? Taehyung didn't flinch. "You're not safe here. I have enemies closing in. You'll stay at the Jeju estate under full guard." "No," Jungkook said immediately. "You don't get to decide that." "I do," Taehyung said sharply, standing now. "I'm your husband." "Then we won," Jungkook snapped, voice trembling. "Don't just lock me away when it's inconvenient to care." Taehyung froze. Their eyes locked, fire meeting storm. "Don't send me away, Taehyung," Jungkook said softer now. "Not when you're finally starting to look at me like I matter." Taehyung stepped forward. Slowly. Cautiously. Then, he did something he hadn't done since their wedding night. He touched Jungkook's face with both hands. Held him there. And kissed him. Not with passion. But with pain. With apology. With everything he couldn't say. When they broke apart, Taehyung rested his forehead against Jungkook's. "I don't know how to love gently," he whispered. "Then don't," Jungkook whispered back. "Just don't lie." The weight of Taehyung's hands on his face lingered long after the kiss ended. For the first time since the wedding, Jungkook felt something real, raw and terrifying. Love, maybe. Or the closest thing to it in their twisted world. "Then don't lie," he repeated, voice barely a breath. Taehyung swallowed hard, eyes dark with conflicted emotions. "I'm not good at this," he admitted. "But I want to try. For you." The words sent a fragile hope fluttering in Jungkook's chest. He had never spoken like this before. Vulnerable. Honest. The power he wielded in the Mafia world felt distant compared to the trembling truth in Jungkook's gaze. "I'll protect you," he vowed. "Not because I have to, but because I choose to." He reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a simple silver ring, the one Jungkook had once admired during their ceremony. "Wear this," Taehyung said, slipping it onto Jungkook's finger. Not as a symbol of control, but as a promise. Later that night they sat together in the quiet mansion, the silence no longer cold but comforting. Jungkook leaned into Taehyung's side, feeling the steady beat of his heart. For the first time, they weren't just husband and pawn. They were something dangerously close to partners.